In Final Fantasy XIV, we've traveled all over the place, from the deserts of Thanalan to the fractured surface of the moon, and the frozen plains of Garlemald. We spent a lot of time in all of the zones, farming fates, hunting monsters, doing quests, filling out the sightseeing log, or just standing around talking to people. Lots of time and effort have been put into the design of each place, but some of them just stand out better than others. These are the 5 zones that over the increasingly growing number of hours I've put into Final Fantasy XIV, I've realized that I enjoyed more than the others. We have to start things off with Azers Law. For the longest time, this was my favorite zone altogether. The scenery is so different from the rest of the Heavensward zones. After dealing with ice and forest for the entire expansion, you come to a place made entirely of Allegan tech, with everything from museums to research facilities. There are creatures that were built, modified, or imprisoned by the ancient Allegans, from small survey nodes to the insanely powerful dragon Tiamat. Not to mention the music sounds like something straight out of Tron. I love this place, and the fact that they keep sending us back there to draw on the knowledge of the ancient Allegans is great, because every time we come here we get new lore, which is obviously my favorite part of the game. Next up is Mare Lamontorum. From the minute they announced Endwalker, we all knew that we were going to the moon, and the trek through Garlemald and the dungeon and such that led to our trip into space did not disappoint in the least. When you arrive, the cracked gray landscape is something to marvel at, and a bit annoying to navigate without the ability to fly, but it leads you to the greatest creatures Final Fantasy XIV has to offer, the Loporrits, also known as the Moon Bunnies. I'll go into the lore of the Moon Bunnies when I cover more of Endwalker's MSQ, but just know that they are far less annoying than the Moogles, and their names give some type of idea about their individual specialties, like Pudding Way, who specializes in eating all types of pudding. It's not the most useful skill, but pudding is delicious, so I can understand the love of the gooey snack. After exploring the semi-barren surface of the moon, the very high-tech home of the bunny rabbits is an impressive change. The design alone makes me positive that the Loporrits will be the crafting tribe for this expansion, especially when you take a look at Smileton, which was supposed to be a residential district, but the Loporrits came closer to building a murder dome than a subdivision. Either way, working with them will never be boring. Next up, we leave the surface of the moon and head into the depths of the ocean of Norvrant. We're going to my third favorite zone, the Tempest. While most of the zone design for Shadowbringers was pretty, they weren't all that unique, not until you have to use the Primal Bismarck to create an air bubble under the ocean that pushes the water away and gives you a place to explore. There were other underwater locations in Stormblood that came after the Warrior of Light got the Kojin blessing for underwater breathing, but they seem like test runs for the Tempest. The underwater realm of the Ondo is a visual marvel that the music enhances as you hunt for Emmett Selk, which leads you to the city of Amarat, a place that the Ascian recreated because he missed his friends and family. It was the first time you got a taste of the world unsundered, and being there was extremely satisfying, at least until I unlocked the Amarat dungeon and it became the only dungeon that would pop in my roulette for months. Our next stop is the final zone of Endwalker, Ultima Thule. At first I thought I only liked the place because of what led up to it and all of the things that happened there, but after doing a lot of fates and hunts in the dark and gloomy edge of the universe, I realized that I genuinely enjoyed the zone. I won't talk about the story in this video, but the place contains 3 unique groups that make for some interesting quests, fates, and 2 dungeons that are great. The dragons, which need no introduction, the Omicron, which were named before the variant of the disease that caused us to be inside for years, and the EA, who I really hope we get more information about. The Omicron are the race of beings that Omega came from, which you should know since that was the name on the armor that you could get from the Omega raids, and we get to learn a lot more about them from the fates in the area and a dungeon which I have covered the story of on the channel. The lore dumps alone made this place incredible, but the music is what really pushed it to this spot on my list. And that leads us to the top spot, Elpis. This zone can't really be talked about at all without saying a lot of Endwalker stuff, so just in case you haven't made it to this part of the now 5-month-old story, I'll give you a quick countdown so you can leave without the spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you're still here, so let's go. Elpis is a place that you get to once you use the Crystal Tower on the First to travel back in time to the world before it was sundered. Here you get to see the ancients perform creation magic, run around a bit with Emmett Selk, Hythlodaeus, and Vana, and you even get to run a dungeon with them. Exploring the floating islands and seeing where the creatures that you fought all across the world in your own time were made is fantastic. Not to mention that getting to see how Emet-Selch, Hythlodaeus, and Azim, which is you, interacted with one another is by far one of the best parts of Endwalker. The Lodestone stories explain their friendship, but seeing how they acted in person gives major Signs of the Seven Dawn vibes. It's also why this zone is my favorite, and it'll likely remain so until we head to the 13th Shard and I get to do some quests for Voidsent, because I think the plot twist that we're going to get in the next story is way different from what people might expect. So that's the end of my list. What were your favorite places to explore? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell, join the Discord, and if you want to support the channel, you can donate through the link in the description. Until next time guys, later.